Welcome on into the LCS Academy, powered by Verizon. I'm Mazel, joined by Joshi and Magical for another magical day of League of Legends here in Academy Summer Split. How you got? I know, right? Hey, figured. That's why they pay me the big bucks. No.
What kind of size bucks are we talking? Are we talking
like
standard,
the vanity ones? Like the giant ones you get at like the fair or the carnival, like those.
I was thinking more like a buck of
bucks.
like this tall, maybe like 6 foot. If it's got
like
the antlers,
checks,
maybe it's more like
giant
7
checks.
feet.
We're starting off real great.
If you start paying me in beer, we're gonna have a problem, Riot.
Oh dear.
Ooh, dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Anyways, it's been a heck of a week number 3. And we do have to check it before we get into the Academy action of the day. We do like to do a little bit of community check-in. So I do also want to check in onto the PGCQ stuff, because we do have number 2 coming up here pretty soon. And Joshi, it's gonna be a fun one. We got the team reveal show on the 25th.
True, that's in a couple of days. That's only 2 days from now, right?
Whoa.
That means that we're going to see a whole bunch of new teams coming through and a whole lot of new teams that are trying to make their way to play towards Proving Grounds. But they got to actually get into the qualifiers, and that'll be an opportunity for a lot of new talent to really showcase what they can do up against teams like 100 Thieves Next or like Jake's Kittens, right? That we already know are going to be fantastic rosters.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm excited for a lot of them, honestly. And you've seen some shakeups from other teams. Like, I know DK Crew has changed up a couple of their lineup. And it's just one of these instances where I look at the teams, and it's funny because they have these changes, yet I feel like some of them are at the same level, and I would expect them to play just as well going into this next part.
I just gotta say, my favorite part of the reveal show last time around was listening to all the different analysts and casters talk about different players, and just watching Trickster and not Trickster, but watching Griffin mauled in the chat. It's like, I can't believe that people aren't talking me up. I'm the new wonder kid on the block. I knew say that all these guys are as good as me. What's going on?
Hey,
you're gonna see all kinds of new names come through.
If somebody else isn't gonna hype you up, you gotta hype yourself up. Also, it's good that we have you guys to talk about this, because being part of the amateur selection committee is a pretty big deal, especially when you're looking at the amateur circuit. So I love seeing your guys' names on that roster for the amateur selection committee.
Big
Cubby
duck
as well.
energy. Big duck energy.
Big duck energy there for sure, man.
That is one of the names of the new teams, by the way, for anybody who's confused.
Oh no. Hey, they never stop getting better. They never stop getting better. But hey, I love to see, decisions being done as a community, right? And being able to see that kind of growth that we haven't had in the community a lot of times, especially in North American developmental. So it's nice to see that step forward, albeit small step, and obviously seeing what the progress is. I'm very excited. So good luck, you two, and the rest of the committee there for sure.
So I did pitch something to the entire committee last night.
Okay,
I said,
okay.
You know what we should do just to make sure this process is even faster? Let me, just me, pick out all the teams.
Just you.
Nothing
What
could go.
criteria?
Do you get to name?
Where are you gonna
I can't
do
make that public.
division
I can't make the criteria public, unfortunately.
Why not?
So,
I want to know.
logo?
Hey, I won't tell
It's
anybody.
based off logos.
We're not streaming.
Josh is right. It is based off logos.
Oh,
True,
okay.
true.
Yeah.
I mean, that
It's
would
based off
very
logos and
clearly
not
put-
names. Why?
No, not
Well, it
because-
depends, right? If you can't have a good logo unless your name supports it, right?
Exactly.
Team name pending, they just have colon parentheses. There's lots of different ways to go about
Right.
it.
All right. We'll see how the decision making pans out, especially. But I will say that I want to take a look at some academy stuff, because we talked a little bit about PGCQs. We talked about you guys being on the selection committee. But we also had some very interesting games to talk about. And first off, I want to talk about Team Liquid versus FlyQuest Academy, because it was an interesting one to start off, I will say.
It's definitely been a
I mean, honestly, when you look at this game and look at the series, this is a big glow up for Cloud9, right? But now they have the official roster that they set out this season to have, and you can see how well they were able to play together, even though they hadn't gotten much practice because King and Destiny had to split time up in the LCS to make sure they subbed there. They were still popping off. They were showing up big in the academy game. So just looking at how they were able to play, I'm really impressed that they were able to take down Team Liquid. Even if it was like a 1-1, I believe. It was still a great great showing from Cloud9.
Yeah, we've definitely been seeing a lot of growth from Cloud9. We knew this roster was going to be good as soon as King and Destiny came back, and their ability to move around the map, and King's kind of willingness to just go, F it, I'm just going to go top lane right now and find his way to Bradley, really gives them a lot of opportunities to kind of snowball the rest of the game.
Yeah, I will say, though, the Cloud9 roster, slow start. But starting to ramp up there.
But they got them.
Yeah.
It was the same thing last split.
Exactly.
As I predicted. I said week 3 is when this Cloud9 roster is going to start to actually pop off. And sure enough, we're week 3. They pop off.
Are they going to be the gopher or of the academy? It's like every
Gopher?
You know, is it Gopher, the one with
like,
the shadow that sees the shadow?
That's a groundhog.
Groundhog, gopher, groundhog, same thing. Come on, I mean, I know animals. What are you talking about?
Heck, Bill Murray like this.
But you know, but hey, maybe Cloud9 Academy will be the groundhog of Academy. Every week 3, we'll see if they see their shadow. Anyways, long joke for an awful finish. But speaking of another series that we did want to look at, it was Evil Geniuses versus FlyQuest. There, Magical.
Yeah, I mean, this was another big showing for Evil Geniuses, where we were worried about them. We were worried about how they're going to perform since they had a very slow start as well. That first game was neck and neck. They nearly were able to take that game over FlyQuest, but then the second game, they didn't relent that. They still had that same power when it came to the team fights, when it came to grouping up with one another. Like, Kaori was just popping off on that Ezreal, and he popped off on the Kalista beforehand. You're starting to see why we were so hyped for Evil Geniuses at the onset of the season.
I will say, though, it does seem like, you know, there's a little bit of hyphy plays sometimes looking Kaori's way. So I'm really excited to see how the mesh with the team starts to come back together, especially because it does feel like it's been a little bit different than last split, right? And I feel like there's a little bit more propensity to kind of go all in on yourself for Evil Geniuses Academy this split. Joshi.
See, the thing about Evil Geniuses this split that I've been kind of impressed with is that they're not necessarily doing anything fancy in their games, especially up against FlyQuest. It wasn't like they were having super sick map movements all the time. They were just saying, hey, we're going to teleport straight behind you. We're going to get a flank. We're going to prevent you from fighting front to back. And that's where all of our individual talent is going to really shine. We get to see Kaori in a position where he's not getting instantly dove on. We get to see Surdy fighting his way directly to the back line. And if you're able to execute on that and other teams aren't going to be able to stop you, like, this team will be able to find success as soon as they iron out all the other things they're doing.
They will indeed. But we do got to talk a little bit about what we have in front of us, at least, because we have a full slate of games coming up today. We have 2 full streams as well. We're already 3 weeks in. If you didn't know that, then there's an issue. Twitch.tv/Academy. It will be this stream. You're already here. You can get comfortable. You can get your popcorn. We got Immortals Progressive Academy taking on Evil Geniuses Academy. TSM Academy taking on Team Liquid Academy. That one is going to be a banger. I'm going to go ahead and call that one my match of the day today. We have 100 Thieves Academy versus Golden Guardians Academy as our last match of the day here on this stream. But on our second stream, twitch.tv/PathToLCS, brand spanking new. See how many
Well, is it new at this
miles
point? It's
this
been
thing
3
has.
weeks.
It is new. It still has the new car smell. FlyQuest Academy taking on CLG Academy, and Dignitas Academy taking on Cloud9 Academy. So some banger games over on that stream. It will be Cubby, Desrex, and Pyrotechnics coming in to join as he's going to be hosting today.
Hey,
so that was going to be pretty fun.
He also stepped in big yesterday.
He did.
Stepped
He
in
absolutely did.
Because, you know,
for
it wasn't
Desrex.
just you who had the power issues. Also, Desrex had some issues too. I believe now he's at the Riot headquarters, right? Casting from there?
No, he's
No,
at
he's actually at Esports
Engine.
Engine.
Oh, that's where he
Yeah.
is. I knew he went somewhere to make sure
He's
that
got an office. If you didn't see the Twitter,
I didn't get to
post.
see the
But
Twitter
if you
yet.
didn't see the Twitter post and you don't know what Twitter is, well, go to Twitter. Go to Bad.
Is that how that works?
That's how that works. If you want to follow any of the content
Lennon, you
for
wanna
NA
repeat-
developmental, if you want to have any
Move past it,
idea of what's
Magical.
going on here, especially games in amateur, games in academy, even some LCS content sometimes, go follow at Path to LCS. It's the only place you will find that information. All the love. What, Magical? What?
I feel like you should do that again. I don't
No.
know. I don't like that
One
take.
cut, that's it. We
I
go.
didn't like that take. I think we need
I
to.
liked it.
Cut,
I liked it.
cut,
I thought
everybody
it had
cut.
it had
Let's get
je ne
another
sais
roll.
quoi. Je ne sais quoi.
I don't think it did. I don't know what that means, but I don't think it had that.
Anyways, we are going to go ahead and get into our first series of the day before this train gets any more derailed, as we do have Evil Geniuses Academy taking on Immortals Progressive Academy. In this first one, I know I was talking about the TSM Academy, TL Academy one, but this one's going to be fun, especially after the conversation that we literally were just having a little bit about Evil Geniuses there. But on the opposing side of Evil Geniuses, it will be Immortals Progressive Academy there that will have to try and figure something out here, especially when they're looking to take down Evil Geniuses Academy.
Well, the thing about Immortals that I really love is Joshua was kind of talking about this earlier, like before the broadcast started, that we have a lot of these players that play like almost one-trick styles. They have this one champion that's unique to them. Chad's got two. He's got the Rengar and he's busting out the Kha'Zix. We saw that yesterday. I believe they actually got their W on the Kha'Zix as well. Let me double check my notes really quick. Yeah, they did. It was the second game. Well, actually, they 2-0 TSM, but they got the second game. It was the Kha'Zix drafted into Wukong, and he was able to perform very well on that champion, looking like this jungler that we expected of him going into the season. This really reckless, fun-to-watch, wild jungler that takes over games right from the get-go.
Yeah, Chad's definitely a player that thrives in chaos, but Lennon, I know you want to let me do it, but I want to start talking about my boy Vital. This is the new guy on the block, right? Vital has been looking very interesting, right? We've been seeing some great moments from him. But we also see moments like this where he just kind of teleports behind the team and kind of waddles around for a little while, right?
Waddle.
Not necessarily able to have a big impact, but we also know this is not the core version of Vital that they picked him up for. He had an opportunity to go play in tryouts, and he was a big, outstanding player in all of the tryout games and all of the opportunities to just showcase that he can actually play. He team fights really well most of the time. He just needs to get himself in the right position to set it up.
And speaking of the right position, you gotta be in the right position to have those big plays. And I think you do see some bright spots. You see especially the reason why this player was picked up. Yeah, especially on the Yone magical.
Like, I mean, just watching him on Yone, it's just so impressive. Like, he understands the limits, he understands the flanks, and I just am excited to see how this player continues in Academy, especially because, like we were talking about, he's a player that we didn't have much information going into the split about.
Yeah, and even here, right, he teleports into the fight, but the big thing to pay attention to is as soon as he's in, he understands how he's going to be able to impact the team fight once he gets in. But that's going to be what we're going to have to pay attention to today as he goes up against Surdy. One, is his laning phase going to be able to hold up to Surdy? And two, will he be able to set up team fights in the way that he wants to, where he can find the success? Because when he does find success, Immortals looks like a brand new team. They look so much better when all 5 members are running at full steam.
Yeah, they really do, and they're going to need to against Evil Geniuses Academy, who I feel like has kind of taken that Cloud9 aspect that we were talking about getting better, and they've started to hit the ground running themselves, although be it some junctures here or there. I think Evil Geniuses as a whole, Joshi, has been really interesting to watch as the split has gone on.
Yeah, Evil Geniuses is definitely a team that's like trying to find their way in. It's definitely something where not all of their members seem to be quite on the same page. We've talked about it a fair amount. Carry and Smoothie are so dependent on like the day on whether or not they're going to be performing at the top level or if they're still struggling to figure out their synergy.
Well, and then you look at yesterday, and I think yesterday really proved that they're starting to get that synergy down. I mean, I'm not even looking at the bot lane anymore. I'm looking at how the mid part of the map worked for Evil Geniuses, especially around Soligo. Soligo has been this player that we've seen in Academy for quite some time, but now he's looking like he's at that form that we expected of him going into the season, where he's popping off, he's playing aggressively, and honestly, I'm just excited to see that he's playing to the level we know he's capable of.
I still think, though, there is a lot to be looked for when you're looking at Soligo, and I think the statement does stand true, right? Like, this guy was lauded for his brain mechanics when he was coming into the scene itself, and was successful, but then had a little bit of a fall, has a decent amount of experience behind him, right? But isn't the standout mid laner that you'd maybe expect from this kind of situation. I think you're talking about, you know, wanting to see it and seeing some of that we wanted beforehand from Soligo, but I think that it's still a question of, will he step up in the moment? Will he be able to kind of perform to the level we expect?
But I think he has been lately. I mean, you just look to yesterday. Even in their loss, his Orianna was absolutely pivotal to how they almost won that game. But as Azir too, finding these picks to make sure they can scoop up the right targets, taking out important members like Diamond, splitting him up from the AD carry so he can't really save anybody, or finding a pick on to say Spyrex, onto Yuji, onto Kumo, whoever's just a little too far out, so that the team can then capitalize on top of that. You talked about the shot calling that he provides. You're seeing a little bit of that, but the mechanics that he's able to focus more on is what's really impressive. Understanding where positioning is, being that intelligent mid laner like there, that 4-man Shockwave, it takes a while for them to clean up all the kills afterwards, but they end up getting all those kills and get the Baron. That play alone nearly saved that game for Evil Geniuses.
So Soligo is like kind of on that border, right, where we're looking for players like Dokla, like Stixay, who were playing in LCS previously, that have shown a ton of growth in order to make their way back, right? Dokla played for Optic a long time ago, Stixay played for CLG before coming down to Academy, and he played with a chip on his shoulder, right? He was like, I don't deserve to be here, I should be playing in LCS still. So Soligo still, we see glimpses of that brilliance, but it needs to be a consistent thing for him to find his way back.
And that's where you look to that veterancy.
Yeah, and I think that he has been lately. That's why I want to praise Soligo. I want to prop him up when we're starting to see him play that way. Give him the confidence, because this is what we want to see out of him. We want to see him be more consistent. Want to be someone that is setting up the team for success, especially because you have that powerful bot lane. You have a great flanking top laner. You need to make sure you're setting up the other sides of your map. And if you have a mid laner who's capable of doing that and is finally looking at that consistency, looking at that intelligence where he's able to find these plays. Like, think about that Shockwave. That was blind. He blind threw out the ball, and yeah, it was blind.
You don't blind Shockwave. The ball gives you vision.
Well, no, I'm talking about he threw out the ball not knowing that they were there, and so once he saw them, it was an intelligent
on a
read.
technicality.
It's an intelligent read, is what I'm trying to say, of knowing where potentially the opponent is, how they're moving around the map. Because I mean, you got to throw the ball out in the first place, and once he spots them out, he's like, perfect.
Yeah, but he saw them on Baron. He knew they were there. Like we could praise his intelligence while still like seeing them.
He saw them.
Yeah, let's show it again. Let's see it again.
Let's see it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Throw back the tape. Throw back the tape.
Let's see.
No, not the, okay, we'll get it in a second.
No, we'll get into it in a second. It's the last clip. It's the last
I think we can praise Soligo without coming up with things that are kind of like, he knew where they were, right? It's not blind.
I'm pretty sure it was blind. Just
there's no way it was blind.
We'll see.
We're gonna get back into this.
Big brain here, Josh, in just a second.
Big brain.
It might not be me, to be honest.
But hey. Hey, I see something.
Anyway, we'll get back into it. This was a good Shockwave, right? We do know Soligo is an intelligent player. He was the shot caller for Evil Geniuses in spring. It was a good Shockwave.
It was
but
a good Shockwave. It's the
This is the one. Oh,
they have the crab.
Yeah, but they only saw Tomo. He didn't know the rest of them were there. Now he knows because
magical. This is not the hill for you to die on.
This is not it.
This is not the hill for you to die on, my dude.
I'm dying on this hill. I'm dying on it.
Oh my gosh.
Look, they saw
Soligo's good, but that
Wipe
wasn't
those eyes
blind.
a little bit. Wipe those eyes a little bit. The ducks are a little too bright. I mean, that's I feel it's like blocking the area of where the ward was.
I feel like I'm underappreciated in my time.
You are ducking appreciated, mister. I don't.
Not your own big duck energy.
Where are my goggles? I'm just gonna put my goggles on.
I like that we
went
into a full deep dive on if Soligo had vision or not to justify if he's good. He's deserving of the consistent award. This is the magical we get now. This is the magical.
Yeah, we're stuck with Quicksilver today, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. But we were talking a little bit about player spotlights, right? Get the emotions, all the emotions. We were talking about a little bit about player spotlights, right? I do think that it's really interesting to talk about Soligo a little bit more, but I also do want to go a little bit about the competition across the board from them, right? Because I do want to highlight Surdy himself in the top lane, who I think is not the most consistent. All right, I'll bet it's like you gotta give him a little bit of rough around the edges, but you still see a lot of growth from this player. I think as a player that has a little bit more experience, it's going to be a pretty tough test for Vital to come up against here.
Hold on.
You can't see magical. It's fine. I'll help you.
I got the coin.
So
we flipped this yesterday when you weren't here for Surdy. So it's whether he's gonna pop off or not. So let's see. So heads he pops off, tails he doesn't.
All right, what do we get?
Okay, is that a Pokemon coin?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you.
It's tails, unfortunately. So
well,
yeah. I mean, I think with both Soligo and Serdius, we're kind of pulling it back a little bit, right? We know they're both very intelligent players. The question is going to be, are they going to be able to play that in the moment, right? Because having talked to both these players in the past, if you listen to them talk about how the game is supposed to be played, about how plays are broken down, they very clearly understand it when they're looking at it from a spectator angle.
Yeah.
But the question always is, are we going to be able to see them do that in the moment?
I
feel
can't
like
really
Serdi
see,
and
so I don't know.
I feel like both of them feel pressured to make these big plays in the moment, and it's not always necessarily going their way because they're not always taking the same kind of mentality from outside the game and applying it to when they're actually in the game.
Well,
These
that's what I
goggles
thought
are
is
hurting. Can I take them off?
Yes,
Yes, you may.
You are allowed. That's what I found interesting about the conversation of like playing through mid to get to sides, and especially looking at Serdi and seeing what they're going to play. Vital himself having played a ton of Yone, and I think that it's going to be a bit volatile, and I think volatility matches this series very, very well, Magical.
Yeah, honestly, that's why I'm excited for this one. Even if these two teams have been struggling at the onset of the season, like we've seen great highs from Evil Geniuses recently in their past few series, actually looking really good, looking like the EG we expect. While Immortals up, down, up, down. It's a roller coaster ride over there. And for this team,
You just got to have your hands up.
Yeah, you got to have your hands up because we're going on a ride. Whenever you watch an Immortals Academy game, you're going on a nice roller coaster ride. But I also do want to say that I expect both teams to start performing more and more because they're getting more scrim time. They're getting more practice. Purdy had to split a little bit of his attention with the LCS team, so he wasn't getting the full scrims with the rest of the Immortals Progressive Academy squad. Now he's full-time committed. Now he can focus all his attention here, and you can see that honestly, I expect them to be a team that is towards the top of the standings, that is one that is competing for a top 4 position.
And I think we haven't really. I want to talk about some pieces that we didn't really mention so much about these teams because we were putting so much focus on the solo lanes in particular for a few at least spotlights, but. There is some core pieces to these rosters that I think are super interesting when you look at like Chad, who we didn't really mention that much here, going against
What do you
Tobio.
mean? I was talking about him all the time.
A little
Kha'Zix,
bit. All
Rengar.
the time, a little bit. But you do have the Tobio-Chad matchup, which I think is going to be very pivotal in that volatility that we were talking about, especially Joshi.
Yeah, we'll definitely see a lot more of that because seeing Chad and Tomio go up against each other, they are going to be both these relatively rookie, relatively new junglers coming into Academy, and seeing how they'll perform with all the veterans around them can really dictate how the game goes.
Guess what? We get to see it live and in front of you because it is time. Champ Select is ready to go. So Magical, Joshi, let's have fun.
All right.
Bye, Lennon.
Bye, Lennon. You know I'll always have fun, especially when I'm with Josh here. We dive into Champions Select pretty quickly, and I'm seeing some things that are pretty standard. Not too surprised to see some of the bans with Fiora aimed at Vital, the namesake of his name, Vital, for the Vital procs. But I'm also seeing a lot of ADC focus from the side of Immortals Progressive.
Yeah, and we know that Kaori is kind of one of these Ezreal specialists alongside Yon. Both of them have played a ton of games on the Champions. It kind of actually makes like the meta more interesting nowadays because you have a number of players that really are kind of the only representatives of their champion. You already touched on Chad. He's the only person who's played Rengar so far. He's the only person who's played Kha'Zix, right? Tomio is a little bit more stock standard, but as this barrier gets taken off the table, he's probably getting pushed over to Diego.
Right, that's what I was about to say. The other thing that we've seen from Tomio is that follow bear that he's been performing well on. Obviously, it's a big, beefy frontline, can set up the fights, but the Viego, I think, is his most played champion of the split so far, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, he's got 5 games on that, and Evil Geniuses want to make sure that he's on something comfortable, but this gives Immortals the opportunity to dictate what bot lanes are going to be coming through, and with Joey already picking up the Renata, Kaori and Smoothie, Arrow and Joey are definitely a group that tends to really focus on the Kalista plus Renata, right? They are one of them that really focus on whatever duo they can find in the bot lane. And as Chad picks up the Graves, it's his first time this season, or excuse me, this split, but we know he's played it a lot.
I was about to say, I'm like, he played it a lot last split. Obviously, Graves was more meta last split, but this is something that he's more than comfortable playing, especially into Viego. He's got a lot of practice in the past on it, but I'm looking now at that Lucian Nami lane. I was surprised the Volibear was slotted in as the final ban from Immortals Progressive because they had focused so much of their attention onto Kaori and Smoothie. Now you've given them a pretty lane-dominant duo.
Yeah, you've given them Lucian Nami, some of the strongest laners that you could possibly ask for. But Immortals Arrow brings out that Draven yet again. Now, we got to remember, this has been the story of a couple of games from Immortals. They have given Arrow a lot of early game leads. When he was on the Draven, I think he started off 2-0-2, and
I think he actually got to like 4-1 and 2 at some point. He was far ahead.
Maybe I'm mixing up with the Twitch game, but the point is, like, he finds these big
maybe
leads in laning phase pretty consistently, right? It's something where he's able to win a lot of these laning phases going up against Carry Smoothie. If he can continue to do that, it'll look really good. But Immortals haven't been able to close out games from that position.
Right.
Players like Arrow and Chad have unfortunately been getting caught out a couple too many times, and going into fights 4v5 makes it very difficult, especially against a team like Evil Geniuses that are already trying to pull apart your battle lines.
But I do like that they have that Renata Gloss to help peel for the Draven. I'm even thinking that they did run this last time when they had Draven. Let me just check my notes. They did it with Twitch for sure. Give me a sec. You talk to the people. Let them know what's going on.
I mean, it's definitely a spot where you have the Renata. It pairs very well with the Graves, it pairs very well with the Draven, but it also means that you have a lot of tools to go for both these counter engages, right? Both teams rocking the Nami and rocking the Renata make it very difficult for you to get on in, and that's where situations like the Lucian can become a little bit more powerful. He's got the culling that can one-shot a target all by itself, whereas Draven needs to get in and go for these auto attacks. So both teams need to find ways to come into these team fights, kind of break these things up, and we know Evil Geniuses can specialize in that. Surdy did it on the Gwen yesterday, but we know he can do it on the Gangplank. He'll do it on the Olaf. He'll do it on basically whatever he kind of feels like. And wait, we're still on 12-11,
Yeah, we're
right?
12-11. That's not, it's not enabled. It's not enabled, so don't get fooled by that. But looking at the mid lane focus right now from the side of Immortals, that Twisted Fate, something that has typically been banned away from Saligo and Pretty, now up and available, so it's an easy rotating champion that can try to play around the bot side like you were kind of asking. I did my stats looked in really quick to see what Arrow played the Draven with. It was actually with Nami. It was against Lucian though, and I think that's the big thing.
Yeah, that was the takeaway.
Exactly, it was the takeaway. It was the Lucian first pick, then it was a Nami Draven lock-in after that, trying to make sure they denied that duo. And here, they got Renata. They've got good peel, and they've got good setup. Once he hit level 6 from Pretty on this Twisted Fate, he can always rotate around.
Yeah, the Gragas coming through, almost definitely going top lane for Surdy. The only other person I believe that has played this is Soul, who we will see playing up against Team Liquid a little bit later on.
Solid top.
It's a very different style from what we've been seeing from Evil Geniuses, right? We've typically been seeing him play much more carry-oriented things. We've been seeing the Kayn, not the Kayn, the Gwen, the Gangplank, the Fiora, but going onto this tank, it gives them some much-needed engage, but it also kind of overly stacks them to magic damage, right? Suddenly, the Maw of Malmorius is looking way more attractive to players like Chad on this race.
Okay. And then talk about stacking up one type of damage. The side of Immortals are stacking up AD with Yone as the final pick for Vital, and we even saw the highlight clips of Vital playing Yone. He has been performing very well on the champion, setting up a lot of the fights, even joining in afterwards. His flanks on the champion have been immaculate, and it's going into a pretty weak side in Surdy on Gragas.
Yeah. Surdy, he's almost definitely going to be rushing the Frozen Heart in this game, right? All the attack damage reduction as well as the attack speed reduction in that aura means it's very difficult for Vital to necessarily push him out early on in the game. But later on, we have to remember, he's going to get manaless champ, right? Yone doesn't have any mana, and so slowly the side lanes will be going very much in favor of Immortals when they actually have the lifesteal completed onto Vital. When he can start just sustaining infinitely in the side lane, it's going to be a lot more difficult for Surdy to actually stand up there.
But I'm looking more towards those mid-game plays, especially because we have such a volatile bot lane. The Lucian Nami versus Draven Renato. Josh, what do we got to expect before we get into this game?
Fighting. Right, we know this happens from both Arrow and Joey and Carry and Smoothie.
And you know who likes fighting? You know who likes fighting, Josh?
Is it magical?
It's magical. Yeah, let's go.
So we'll see. I mean, we know this is your kind of game.
It is, and I hear that we are ready for this game. I want to see level 1 shenanigans from both squads to start off our second day of week 3. Evil Geniuses Academy, Immortals Progressive Academy. They've loaded up onto the Rift, but it doesn't look like my shenanigans will be abound. Instead, it will be a line of scrimmage from both sides.
Unlucky. Unlucky. I can't believe that with all this fighting, we're not going to get to see your level 1 shenanigans, but we are seeing Surdy is committing to the full tank style. He's got the grasp of the Undying, and Vital will slowly out-sustain him the longer the game goes. But, as you already called out, right, we were talking about stacking one type of damage. Pretty on this Twisted Fate unlikely to be doing enough magic damage to force anybody to be building any kind of magic resistance. So Surdy can naturally just build kind of full armor.
Yeah, and to me, this kind of shows that Immortals need to win this game mid-game pretty hard. They have to make sure they're punishing the side of evil geniuses before they can start stacking up that armor, before they can start just using Surdy as that beefy front line where they never really have to worry because he's barely going to take any damage.
Yeah, so we will get to see how Immortals play side lanes, how they control the map as a whole. And this has not been their specialty thus far, Magical, but they have the tools to do it. Pretty will be in the side lanes rather consistently. He will be looking for ways to teleport everywhere else, but look at this, Chad.
Ooh.
This is a super late invade. They didn't even do the first buff.
Super late. I like this. He did go for a ward, though, on his pathing over to this red buff. So or did he? Did he just... He might have actually just used the jump over the wall. But let's go to the bot lane. This is what we kind of expected from the Draven Renata Glosk matchup, where you're just looking to see if he could try to fight Lucian, who's fairly low range. Same with Draven.
Yeah. Oh, they have no idea.
Oh yeah. I think he jumped over the wall. I think he jumped over the wall, so they have no idea until he's going to path over it.
Yeah, as soon as he goes past the ward next to the Raptor camp, they will in fact know, but
Right.
Tomio is learning right now that the bottom side of his jungle is completely gone.
And I'm surprised Chad didn't look for a gank immediately in mid lane because he has the tempo, and look at how far out Saligo has pushed himself. He is playing towards the top side of the map, trying to feint that someone is there and possibly could back him up in case of a gank.
Yeah, and the cleanse is blown bottom lane, but Chad has so much control of the map right now. He's going to be trying to get the high value camps, right? The Raptors and the Krugs have way more golden experience than the Wolves or the Gromp will, and that is going to mean that this weird, it's not a vertical jungle, but it's like a plus sign, right? Tomio's now going to be in the bottom side, and
odd.
I don't know if Immortals know that he's there.
I don't think they do. I think they think he's still just hard clearing out his jungle. Because, yeah, look at Chad. He's on Wolves. He took the Raptors. He's taking Wolves next. So the blue buff will be secured by Tomio. And it's going to be a weird two-buff situation with both sides getting blue and red, respectively, for Tomio and Chad.
Yeah, I feel like Chad is the kind of player who loves thriving this kind of chaos, though, right? He now knows where Tomio is. He recognizes the crab is gone, but also says exactly where he is on the map.
Yeah.
So now Evil Geniuses, now they get to play a different mind game. What can Tomio do? He walks through mid lane, but he's booking his way towards the top side of the map. And you have to know Chad is going to match it, and that's why Pretty has to teleport back in order to make sure that they can at least secure the top side for Chad. So this kind of absolutely wild early game is the kind of thing that Chad loves playing, and he loves going for these wild games.
But Josh, he did lose out on the second Scuttle Crab as well. He got double scuttle by Tomio. Good play on the side of Evil Geniuses to make sure they're capitalizing on the greedy play of Chad, especially because Chad didn't go for his red buff. Remember, he went Raptors, then Wolves, then tried to see if he can get his blue buff. There's already Tomio there. And once he popped the Scryer's Bloom too, that told Tomio, hey, Chad's on the bottom side of the map. I can just book it immediately, take the Scuttle Crab, and he can do nothing about it.
Yeah, so now the fact that Chad did the Raptors of his opponent first is going to be a little bit less exciting because Tomio will be able to go from like a very simple Krugs, Raptors back towards the top side of the map. But we also know that Tomio is not the kind of player who's just going to let things happen on the bottom side. He's going to look for these plays down here on the bottom side as well and skip going for the full kind of clear.
Yeah, it's just a lot of bullying in the spot lane, trying to see what kind of advantage they can get. But Tomio's nearby. The flashes for flashes. Arrow is back towards the sword, but nice flash from Tomio. First blood will go over to Evil Geniuses as Joey barely escapes on the other side. Oh. So I hear that there is a little bit of an issue. So hopefully we'll be able to figure that out in just a moment. Unfortunate that it's happening when a lot of chaos is happening across the map, but that's kind of what we expected between these two teams, that there was going to be that chaos. It's just inherent in the natures of both sides.
Yeah, and both junglers really looking to create some of this chaos early on. Tomio not going to be clearing towards the top side of the map. He's going to be staying bottom side and finding that first blood onto Arrow. But that's the big thing that we got to pay attention to, right? Arrow is so used to playing these mid games, going in with an advantage. That's not happening anymore.
No.
He got the first blood onto him. He lost all of his adoration stacks. And so even if he does get this next kill, it's going to really push back how much gold he's actually picking up from it. So that's a really good play for Evil Geniuses thus far.
Yeah, but I always hate pauses this early, because even after you get a first blood, it's not much to talk about. It's like first
Well,
blood.
Joey's probably dead immediately after. This.
Maybe, I don't know. He's got a long way to run, and maybe he can outpace or just juke the members of Evil Geniuses and get out alive.
It's possible. It's not a 0% chance, but I don't think it's
Right.
a whole lot higher than that. We will see if Joey ends up going down, and if it is a double kill going over to the Evil Geniuses bottom lane plus Tomio, that's a pretty tall task for Immortals to try and turn things around. And we talked a little bit about how we were looking at Vital as one of these players who was trying to find his way into the game. He's doing, so far, he's doing a pretty decent job, and we know that it gets better later on in the game.
Here we are good to get back into the game. Sorry about the brief little pause, but we are here to watch some League of Legends and Vital. It's a little bit of a skirmish against Surdy as we get back in. And look at Joey right now. He actually looks like he's gotten out of there scot-free, even if he's getting chased down by Tomio. Pretty. Having the push mid lane might make it so Tomio doesn't want to aggress too far.
Yeah, actually that's really funny, because Joey's just like hiding in the bush at the very beginning of that play,
Yeah.
right? But hey, if it works, it works. At the same time, though, we are seeing Surdy slowly kind of getting mana as champed, right? His champion has mana, and he has to use it in order to keep himself relatively healthy, whereas Vital won't be able to do that. But
Chad's invading. Does have to worry. Soligo is nearby. He was able to smite secure the Grop, and now he's got to get over the wall. Gravity Field will force out the flash from Chad, as well as the laser pointer doing a bit of damage.
while they do get the flash, the important part is that Chad is not necessarily going to be super in dire need of that unless Tomio finds him.
Oh no, just blast guns away. It's still difficult because look at how far Vital's push. He's hit level 6. 30 couldn't really rotate as quickly as Vital possibly could. And Pretty himself has also hit level 6. So there's a good possibility that if he tried to fight Chad in his jungle, that he just gets completely blocked in.
Yeah. I really like what we are seeing from Chad, though, right? He really thrives in these games where the camps are spawning in weird orders. The
That is true.
junglers are both going to be going for ganks and unusual timings, and he just recognizes, hey, if Tomio's going down bottom lane, that means he's not clearing the top side of his camps right now. I can go pick that up, and then immediately after, rotate towards the bottom side of the map where all of my camps will be available.
But we didn't really talk about the bot lane and how important the kill for Tomio was over Arrow, because as a Draven, you want these stacks, you want to try to cash in, you know, pretty quickly. You want to be able to get the early lead. First blood would be most beneficial for your side on Draven. But with that kill, he lost a lot of those stacks, so he's got some time before he can catch up, and I'd expect that he is vulnerable. No flash, no heal. Tomio could easily revisit.
For sure, but at the same time, Chad, I said he was going to go do his camps. Apparently the Dragon is one of his camps. He's going to be able to pick this up as well, and with the push from Arrow and Joey, and the fact that they are still winning here in the bottom lane in terms of CS is going to allow them to find this extra AD, and Chad can just go right on back to the rest of his camps.
Well, just because you killed the Draven doesn't mean that the lane's easy now. It doesn't make it any easier. You're just slowing down his snowball potential. That's all, really. The lane's still fully in effect, and the fact that you're both level 5 on each side, you have to deal with that extra damage that Draven gets early into the game. As speaking of early damage, Vital not really having too much of it since he went Berserker's Greaves. Surdy's going to be able to play this weak side pretty well. He's even got that Tear of the Goddess, and look and see he can stack that up pretty quick.
Yeah, but you're already seeing, right, it is the process of the manless champ, as we see why the pawns came through earlier. But Vital, he will be able to just teleport back into lane. He will probably have a Vampiric Scepter done, if not on this back, then the back after. Where he will just be able to push around Surdy for basically the rest of the game with the extra lifesteal. And Surdy, you know, while he does have the tier, his mana will be tested as it always is in Gragas lanes.
And looks like Vital's coming back to lane without that Vampiric Scepter, just shy of actually being able to afford it. But he's got some of the healing potion in his inventory that he can just use the refillable pot to kind of stay on top if he has to. Well, all the while, Chad still having this jungle controlled, despite even being on vision here. The neutral objectives are essentially, as you called out, Josh, just parts of his own camp.
Yeah, they're just his jungle. So as he picks this up, we got to be careful. Arrow.
Flash in, looking for the tidal wave. Arrow's got no heal, no flash, no dash away. But with the turret now focused on Cowrie, Arrow, he survives with just barely enough health.
That's wild. We saw that Cowrie wasn't quite level 6 yet, but Smoothie had already grabbed his ultimate. So I'm not sure where the experience differential comes from, but that's the difference right there for Arrow. He's able to walk away, but he loses a ton of waves.
Yeah, I will say that will get Cowrie back in this game, at least more even foot against the Draven. But you really want that kill. You want to shut him down again, remove some of those stacks so that way you don't have to worry about the upcoming gank that you're expecting from Chad. He's been just power farming, taking a lot of things, making sure that all neutral objectives belong to Chad, but I'm waiting to see when he makes an appearance in the spot lane.
I don't know how likely we are to see him pretty top lane.
He's just going top lane instead. I saw that the Destiny Gate was open. I was expecting bot lane. I was looking for where he was going, and he went top.
The first time we are seeing Pretty having some effect, but Joey's just caught.
Nice catch by Tomio there. The flash stun to make sure they make quick work of Joey. Couldn't escape from danger this time around.
And that feels really tough if you're going to be playing as Arrow and Joey in this game, right? You're playing Draven, you're playing Renata, you're here to try and snowball the game, but you know, the 20 CS lead that you had built up for yourself is now completely evaporated. It's in fact a lead for Kyrie and Smoothie. You've given up 2 kills at this point. While you haven't gotten the plate to kind of match it, it really kind of worries me a bit later on, because something we haven't really talked about this game so far, but something we talk about a lot, Magical, is the range at which you're able to actually take these fights. Victor's going to outrange everything. We're going to take a look at what actually happens here in the top lane and how Pretty actually manages to find his way here.
Yeah, I'm just watching this, seeing Vital. Doesn't get the tornado, but I'm more surprised. Yeah, look at the pathing coming in from Pretty. He's still a long ways away, and this was a long, drawn-out fight, but Pretty just realized a little too late that he was in danger.
Yeah, good stuff coming through from Pretty, right? Just backing out. He doesn't go directly from the lane. He backs out towards his second turret and then walks towards Raptors. But at the same time, while he's making this play, they know that there's no piece of fade. They suspect there's not a way for Joey to do much of anything, and they just catch him overextending.
Yeah. Just a bit too far out, trying to gain control of the lane so they can set up Chad. Especially because he has that Eye of the Rift Herald still in his inventory that he can pop in one of these lanes. And you'd expect it. You'd actually even hope it would be in the bot lane to make sure you're getting Arrow this snowball. You're trying to get him off the ground running because he still hasn't been able to cash in at all.
So we will continue to keep our eyes on whether or not Arrow ever finds a cash in. But in the meantime, you know, they are finding some success in the top side of the map. Pretty got the kill up top. They get the entire turret up here for Vital.
Yeah.
And now, we talked about how Vital will be able to play basically uncontested in the side lanes. He's already level 9. He's at the strong point and levels for the Yone, and as he starts getting items completed, it becomes harder and harder for everybody else to deal with him. When he gets his second item done, we will start seeing Vital not only beating up on Surdy, but actually able to engage onto everybody else in the rest of the fight. So suddenly our rookie is the player in Immortals that has become the most important player on the map.
We're starting to see why Immortals actually picked him up in the first place, why they were so confident in this rookie player after tryouts, seeing how he performed, and now how he is performing in Academy. He's got the goods, he's got the bad, and we're hopefully not going to see the uglies in this game, but Chad here loses out on, I guess, one of his camps because the dragon was secured by the side of Evil Geniuses, able to take that away, and now I'm looking to see how they can impact this game a little bit further. Where do you expect Evil Geniuses to try to play? Do they continue to try to play around bot lane?
I feel like if you're Evil Geniuses, you still want to get Kyrie and Smoothie ahead, right? They are some of your strongest members. You know you can't really affect the side lanes as well because you're going up against 2 split pushers. Gragas can slow one of them down, but he's never going to be beating them. Whereas Pretty and Vital can consistently create pressure. So if you get Soligo really far ahead, if you get Kyrie really far ahead, and you're just able to take these fights at a greater range than Immortals is really going to be able to interact at, that's one of your easy ways back into the game. We know Soligo, he's had some of these good shot points. He's had some of this good team fighting. He just needs the resources to do it.
Fair point. And at the moment, he's still even in CS against Pretty, while Pretty does have a kill over him just because of the play topside. He's not really that far behind where Twisted Fate is at. All he has to do is make sure that he is first on these plays so he can match where he thinks Pretty might look for a play.
Yeah, it's so hard to keep Pretty anywhere at this point for the victor. Even with the extra damage coming out from the laser, like Twisted Fate, he had the D-Max. He can push things around very quickly. It's very easy for him to just blow up a wave and look to move, but Victor's got first move already.
Now, Victor does have the first rotation with Chad here. Vital should be safe. Blue buff is stolen away by Chad from Soligo. So we'll slow down a little bit of that wave clear potential that Soligo will have here, but not by much. It's still a Victor mid lane.
Yeah, he's already got level 10. He's got all the points in his laser. The extra part is there in order to instantly clear the backline. He just needs to auto attack the melee minions once or twice, depending on exactly how much AP he has and what wave we're on. But Victor has plenty of control, and he can keep the wave neutral. But the big question is going to be, we haven't necessarily seen Soligo do a lot of wave manipulation in terms of building up waves and trying to force Pretty to stay in lane, because Pretty isn't able to walk up to the wave. He's definitely still stronger on this Victor in terms of his ability to fight to the death.
So this is where we're seeing this game. It's pretty slowed. You're not seeing Soligo be able to make these plays elsewhere, mostly because he does have to contend in pretty good wave clear from the side of Pretty. But I feel like this is not normal for either of these teams with how the game's going so far, especially for Immortal side. This fast, risky, willing to play loose team style that they have hasn't really been able to find the plays that early on.
Oh.
Well, I like that flash, though, from Joey. Wait a minute. Chad, he's getting flanked, and he's on top of Cowrie, who's using the calling onto Pretty, and the Chaos Storm. Wait a minute. Pretty makes it out alive. How in the world is he able to get out of there? Now they're looking at Joey. The Heartbreak will take the kill, and make it so they at least get one, with Vital now in the midst of two, fighting against Tomio, who has stolen away the soul of Renata Glaskins, looking to see if he can break the heart of Vital, who's now ticking down to the burn, and he's underneath the turret, and somehow he's still alive with the body slam flash from Surdy. Make sure he is dead meat.
Absolutely, while it's still going.
It's still going! What in the world is going on in this game? What? Huh?
What a wild fight. You were just complaining that the game was on fast enough
Right,
for the way that IMT likes
you know
to
what?
play.
I'll take that caster curse. Yeah. That's a good caster curse. Woo!
Absolutely wild. We're going to have to see a couple replays of that, because Pretty barely walking out. It doesn't look like either side was expecting that fight to erupt. Both teams were expecting the play to just kind of fizzle out, but Evil Geniuses, when they find something, they're so good at committing to it. They are always typically on the same page when a fight breaks out, because all of them are just down to tango. And at the end of it, it's going to be Evil Geniuses to pick up a Herald. I thought this was part of Chad's jungle.
Yes, he lost out on his Dragon, losing out on his second Rift Herald as well. Tomio bouncing back strong in this game, where he started off with a nice first blood in the bot lane. Now, suddenly 3-0-1 on Viego. He is set up to be a carry all on his own.
But sounds like we're going to be able to take a look at this last fight. And yeah, look at all the weird
Yeah, what
I don't think they thought there were this many Immortals here. But the big thing to pay attention to is the fact that Pretty uses the Destiny Gate to get out of survive with less than 50 HP. And Chad, he's just running, right? He knows he can't do anything else. Cowrie barely living from Vital. Oh, and Chad goes back in.
That's what happens.
Greedy.
Well, no, it's
so
not
greedy.
like he goes back in. This is where he kind of had to pass. He
was looking for Cowrie.
Oh, was he? Oh,
yeah, Cowrie was like 50 HP.
Oh, that's a shame.
I think if anything, that tells us more about who Chad is as a player than anything else, right? Like, Chad could have left 100%.
Well, speaking of that, could have left the fight. All five here from Evil Geniuses forced out an early stopwatch on the side of Pretty, but now they got a lot of damage on the Shadow on the other side, trying to see if they can execute him, but he's got a shutdown. They're turning this around. Immortals have got to pick on one of them being the jungler, so Chad can go back to reclaim his rightful dragon.
Absolutely wild yet again. We're seeing Immortals. They come through, and Vital, the one who finds the important opportunities to get on top of Victor. I remember yesterday we were looking at Rostar on his Diana as the one person who could really deal with the Corki. This time it's Vital. He's the person who can deal with Soligo. He's the person who can get on top of the fight. And in this spot, he finds the ultimate on Soligo. He takes him down, and suddenly the Victor damage is not there.
Well, the fact, too, if we got to take a look at the replay. We got to pay attention to the health bars, because, oh my god, how low did most of Immortals get in that? It's just absolutely insane how they are. Like, that's what I'm keeping my eyes on.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this build come out quite a bit from Will in particular, that Caddy Zone, right? The core drinker into the Black Cleaver is able to survive for a long time because of all the extra Omni Vamp and the core drinker keeping him up and running. But as soon as people don't go down, there's no more damage left from Surdy. There's no way for Cowrie to really get into the fight because of the flank from the rest of IMT.
God, it's just so little health from three of their members. Also, I will say, a bit tragic, the fact that they didn't get a kill on Arrow, so he's still sitting on a lot of stacks, and now Chad's fighting against Ligo. You gotta be careful against Ligo. You talked about it. He's got past that level 11. He's now getting a lot of damage. The Chaos Storm really does brew strong.
But the rest of the team, they haven't necessarily been able to set up a fight since, and we can see a little bit of why the culling is going to be such a threat to members of Immortals later on. Immortals, they do have some tools to get in, right? It's based on their solo laners. Pretty can teleport on top of people, get the gold card right down, and then Vital can follow it up with his ultimate. But they have to do that. The onus is on them in order to make the plays happen. They are the beatdown in this game. They can't just afford to let evil geniuses slow play the game. And so now, Pretty, he's got the rapid fire cannon. Suddenly,
he's got Ghost as well. Yeah, I mean, he's got the rapid fire. He has Ghost, switching that out since he has the unsealed spellbook. So he's got a lot of ways to be able to get into this back line. Let's see if he can lock down a target like Saligo's. Vital now feeling aggressive onto Surdy, but Surdy has got the Turbo Chem Tank completed. He's got a Warden's Mail, even the steel caps on top of it all. So it's not like he's going to take that much damage from Vital anymore.
well, yes, it's not like a lot of damage in any given burst, right? But we talked about it earlier, Magical. Surdy has mana. Vital doesn't, right? So as long as the fight is still going, Vital will slowly win this because he's going to heal up off of it. And even though Surdy's still at half mana, it does take its toll over long periods of time. It's kind of like just having a Warbox, right? Is the way that you used to play these side lanes. You couldn't get pushed out. And so now Vital, I like the idea, right? He gets the ward down and knows that he can go back in case somebody is there. But if somebody was like coming up from the lane, that was dangerous. So I like the idea of what he's going for, but we'll see if Evil Genius will like pick up on that habit and punish him later on for it.
Especially when you look at the vision control for the side of Evil Geniuses. They have so much more, especially on the top half of the map, that they pretty much know where Chad is. If he's not spotted on a ward on the top side, he's more than likely towards this bottom half. And that's exactly why Tomio is hovering around, making sure that he's in a defensive position to help out Surdy.
Yeah, clearing out the Krugs, and we'll see. Again, the players that we got to pay attention to in order to make plays are going to be Vital and Pretty for Immortals. And Pretty's now on the opposite side of the map from Vital. They can't really coordinate super effectively. And Vital's ultimate is just now coming up.
But what about Draven? He's got 400 stacks of Adoration. He has yet to cash in.
True. I mean, that's the question, right? Is Draven going to cash in?
Right. And that's why I'm asking you. I don't know if he's going to be able to. Even that last chaotic fight where Immortals were able to find 2 picks, he barely was a part of it. I think he got 1 assist, 2 assists at most.
Yeah.
I can't remember if he got assists from before.
Know from Immortals, right? Unfortunately, Arrow tends to get caught out a fair amount of the time. And it means that if he hasn't stacked in yet, I'm not sure when he's going to be able to. And it's something where even with a relatively small amount of offensive crowd control coming out from Evil Geniuses, it's definitely going to be enough. And as we start looking towards this next dragon, pay attention to where Arrow's actually going to be standing, because Surdy, Tomio, they're going to be looking for him.
Alright, I'm going to keep my eyes on Arrow, looking at how he positions in the next coming fight, which I would imagine would probably be soon. We got 30 seconds until Dragon spawns number 3 for Immortals. That would put them at soul point potential.
Immortals definitely want in. Tomio.
He's looking for
Stun
Arrow.
the minion.
Yeah.
Screw this minion in particular.
I think he was hoping that Cavalry was going to clear it in time so he can get the cheeky stun off. Try to see if they can find the pick onto Arrow, but now it looks like Immortals are the ones set up. They're the ones with the inside track around this bottom half of the map. They still got to be cautious. Vital is not in a position to flank the backline. They're just getting a lot of damage onto Surdy, and he's the tank. He's able to absorb that pretty effectively with the TP on his side as well. You're going to always rejoin the fight after he tries to go back home, but with the pick attempted on the backline, finding Tomio and killing him. The snapback for Vital picks up his second kill of the game. And even looking at Pretty, they're making sure that they can hold the wave and get the objective at the same time with the pick onto Tomio.
And what do you know, it's the combo. The stun from Pretty into the ultimate from Vital takes down the jungler. No way for Evil Genius to try and contest the dragon after that one. Now, Immortals are going to be using it to take some more pressure in the side lanes. And giving the red buff over to Vital, we already said he's a manless champion. He's going to out-sustain Gragas in the long term. The red buff makes that so much easier. You can just go for fights and just do it over and over again every single time the cooldowns are up.
And now that they have the tempo lead, now that they've got each one except for the top lane on their side, they're able to topple that tier 1 structure at mid lane, opening up a lot more of the jungle for Chad, making it a little bit easier for him to play against Tomio since it's now even. He doesn't have to worry about the entire team of EG sitting inside of his jungle, because that could get them in a bad spot with nowhere to go.
So yeah, Tomio, right? We've seen this as well a couple of times. A couple of our players have been finding leads early on. Tomio started this game with 3-0-1. We've seen that Arrow has started several of his games with a bunch of kills and no deaths. But they're not necessarily been able to convert it, right? And I feel like part of this is because Tomio is not necessarily been quite as aggressive of a player. He doesn't feel like the same play. Like when you watch his stream and watch him play in Champions Queue versus watch him play in Academy, they feel like two different players a lot of the time, right? In Champions Queue, he's a shot caller. He's one of the people who's always looking to make plays. But now, it kind of feels like the rest of his team is kind of pulling him around in so many different directions. You know, too little butter spread over too much bread, almost. And because of that, he's not quite able to find any of the same kind of plays that going into this mid game.
Too little butter spread across a big piece of bread. I've never heard that analogy before.
It's from The Hobbit, or Lord of the Rings. It's something Bilbo says.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
I think it's when he's old that his, like, when Frodo comes back or something like that. It's definitely in the Lord of the Rings.
Okay,
Right?
I'm gonna trust you.
But
It's been a while since I've watched Lord of the Rings, so I gotta believe you. I just don't remember it. Interesting though.
I like the movies. It's definitely in the books for sure.
Okay, I read the Hobbit. I didn't read the other one, so that could also be. But
there you go. But look at this, Tomio, butter looking top lane.
And looking at the inventories as well, we already saw that he had the Deadman's completed earlier on because of how much AD damage comes on from the other side. But nice bubble and nice buffer of the stun with the Heartbreak from Tomio.
Yeah, teleport coming through from Vital. They're just gunning for a fight, right? We said that the solo laners needed to make things happen, and Vital taking that to heart. I actually had a chance to ask Vital a couple questions earlier today because we knew that we were going to be talking about him a fair amount, and it's kind of interesting, like, seeing what he says, because he definitely seems like a man of few words. We'll talk more about him after we see him chat lips.
Oh, Chad gets the sound up. Should be fine. Has the team to back him up. Also, production did tell us that you were right, Josh. It was in the first movie. Bilbo said that to Gandalf.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, it was to Gandalf. I thought I was talking to Frodo, but it has been a while. Yeah, but thank you, production. It is something that I was not making up. But the interesting thing for Vital that he was trying to say that he's really trying to work on these days is he feels like he's over-prioritizing farm, right? And I think we've seen this a little bit in a lot of the games. Like, that was something that Surdy was doing. He was faking a lot of bats.
Right.
Now Pretty, he's got the stun, and he's got Chad in his pocket.
Looking for Soligo. This could be a really good pick. The sun comes out with the help of the Rapid Fire with Everfrost to root him in place. The Chaos Storm is brewing with the TP as well. They get the flash out of Soligo. Now they got to get out of dodge. They got a lot of damage on Soligo, but now Chad, who's taking the brunt of the battle with that explosive cast on the other side. But Chad, this whole time, has been fighting back valiantly. Finally, he'll fall. One stab through the heart will take him out.
So close, but great response coming out from Evil Geniuses, and Tomio very slowly is able to grind Chad down. Both these guys with tankier builds, and coming out right before the next dragon. The big thing is, even though the kill goes over to Evil Geniuses, Soligo now doesn't have his flash.
No.
He's a target for Vital. We already said Vital was going to have some opportunities to jump on top of him. I feel like even though Chad dies, it's about an even exchange.
Yeah, also keep in mind that two TPs are now burned on the side of Evil Geniuses. Surdy is getting charged up a lot, and landing those gold cards is good for Pretty, but with 4 members still here strong for the side of Evil Geniuses, make it 5 because they still have Cowrie in a position to flank as well. It would look risky. That turret was not long for this world if they continued that fight.
Yeah. And we will see that Chad, because Evil Geniuses aren't looking to start this immediately, Chad will have an opportunity to come on in. Vital has no teleport, so he needs to kind of stick around. Joey.
Yeah, looked a little bad. I thought that, the explosive cast isn't available yet for Surdy. But now the Destiny Gate is. They open it up to see where Evil Geniuses is. Not looking for the play just yet. Vital's got to be careful because Cowrie is on the other side. That's going to be the Destiny Gate looking for the gold card. It's going to be able to connect on Tomio with a lot of damage. The ult going wide from Vital, not connecting. Now he's got to flash away, but a nice flash body slam, big explosive cast combo from Surdy. Make sure they can chase down Immortals. Force Pretty to go golden.
But the
dragon and Soul goes over to Immortals. But now that they've got 2 picked, actually 3, 2 picked on the side of Immortals, Evil Geniuses can turn their attention for this Baron.
Yeah, Pretty and Vital trying to overforce the combo. They aren't quite able to sync up, and it means that they both end up dying to a heads-up play from Surdy. But now, yeah, Immortals there, they're not even going to try and come in. Chad already on the far side of the map, so it's going to be a trade of the Dragon Soul for 2 kills and a Baron. In terms of gold, It's definitely going to be very good here for Evil Geniuses. But in terms of the map state, I think it's even better for them, right? They now have control of the map. They can now topple all these turrets, and while there are, you know, they've already picked up 2, they get the top inner, they should get the middle inner, they should get the bottom line first and second turrets. That's going to be a massive gold swing for Evil Geniuses, and Immortals, they're in damage control for a little while, because this is their opportunity for Evil Geniuses to get so far ahead, Immortals can't come back.
But the thing is, Immortals did claim the Mountain Soul through that fight. Despite the fact that they lost the Baron, they lost the fight pretty heavily, they were able to secure something that will last them through this Baron, and as long as they can maintain it, it'll help out, especially when EG makes a play like this and punish. Oh, wait, we go back to life. That is nice bait seal to get Cowrie and shut him down. We jump right back from the replay with the Destiny Gate open as well. He got a stun on Surdy. He uses the cleanse, try to get away, but now he's in danger. He's got to worry with the Chaos Serum brewing on top of him, trying to help him out. Chad's taking a lot of damage, has to flash back. Surdy's going to be the target. He is so damn tanky, though. Hostile takeover goes wide, but Arrow looking to claim his adoration stacks, and now he is rolling in the money.
That's so much money, and it comes at a perfect time. I was going to say, if Evil Geniuses don't find the lead here, the Mountain Soul is going to pay off, and Immortals, they instantly put a stop to the Baron push. There's no way to come through, and Vital's the person who comes up big in the fight, getting things started.
Well, yeah, that's what you'd asked from Vital at the very beginning, was to step up big and pretty, flashing in, pulling back in Saligo. He does not have that Chaos Storm this time around to try to turn some damage back. Instead, it's gold card after gold card to set up Chad, and with that mid laner dead, Immortals, they've gotten so much gold to their name.
And so many stacks cash in for Arrow, even though he just gets the 1 kill, accounts for 3 immediately.
Wait, I want to see
how
the
much
gold.
he's able to buy off. I think he might actually get an entire Infinity Edge off of that.
I think so too. He was sitting on 3,000 gold. Oh my.
Yeah, and instantly he was down 30 CS. He was not necessarily in a particularly strong position, but suddenly getting an influx of over 1,000 gold suddenly means that he is at the same place that Cowrie is. I was worried that Arrow wasn't necessarily going to be able to find his way into this game, but finding that 1 kill onto Surdy, 1,500 gold?
Oh my. Thank you, observers. Holy moly.
1,500 gold off of a single kill?
I did ask. I want to see if Immortals were going to be able to capitalize on that, because he was well over 400 stacks of adoration. I wouldn't be surprised if he was pushing 5.
I would have given you like a 40% chance that he gets like a kill before he dies. But the fact that he gets that kill before he dies is absolutely insane. Suddenly, it's not just the solo laners from Immortals that can take control. It's actually the fact that Vital is now pushing. He's going to be uncontested because Cowrie's backing away.
And look at what Arrow built, not the Infinity Edge. Instead, he went for Bloodthirster to have a little bit more survivability in these fights, which could pay off dividends. They've already gotten rid of the Baron buff that Evil Genius has had. They no longer have that on their side. So that this allows Immortals, with the power of each one of these lanes now, to push and take down all but one of the remaining outer turrets.
Yeah, Evil Geniuses, the kind of plays that they were going for yesterday up against Flyquest haven't really come to fruition. Tomio poking around a little bit. I mean, he's got a very defensive build. He doesn't do nearly as much damage.
No.
But we haven't seen Surdy able to find any of the flanks that found them some success. So Ligo hasn't been able to stand up and really use his range to punish the members of IMT. It feels like IMT are dictating when all the fights happen, and while they're not always perfect in their setups, because they're controlling when fights are happening, Evil Geniuses are just on the back foot.
Well, I feel like this is the power that we expected from Immortals, the chaos that they love to thrive and love to play around. That's catching Evil Geniuses off guard, who play more standard, look for the setup for the flank from Surdy. It's hard to do that when you have Pretty using these Destiny Gates to constantly spot out the members of Evil Geniuses. Chad is positioning as another flanker with Vital on the side.
Yeah. So now, with Vital on the side, he's going to be looking for his ways to get in. He's uncontested in this split. Nobody's really going to be able to match him. He's got 3 completed items, is going to be building towards probably the Lord Doms, and also has a Negatron Cloak for some quick MR, right? He's suddenly going to be way tankier against the Gragas and the Victor, and I don't know how Evil Genius are going to be able to deal with this. They don't have a ton of Magic Pen. Saligo's building towards the Rabbit on Death Cap, which will allow him to blow up players like Arrow and Pretty, but he needs to be worried about the people who are diving on top of him.
And That's going to be the issue, I think, for Evil Geniuses, is how can they play around the side of Immortals who constantly are able to jump on them unless they're all grouped up together. Looking at how they can maybe play around Sligo, he's level 17. This is when Victor, like the late game that everyone always talks about him, well, he's got 3 items built up. Almost has a Rabadon's Death Cap as well. That's a lot of power in this champion.
It's a lot. But we'll see. Immortals, they have a bit more control around the Elder Dragon as Vital comes back onto the map. We see that Pretty's already toppling the bottom lane. And so as long as Immortals aren't losing a team fight, as long as Evil Geniuses aren't threatening to finish off the Elder Dragon, Immortals are going to continue taking objectives off the map.
Well, it looks like there might be the press for the Elder on the side of Evil Geniuses down below 50%. There's going to be a fight with the Destiny on the other side. They got a lot of damage that they've taken down smoothly. The Elder so low. Who's going to gain control? It's going to go over to Evil Geniuses. This might turn the shift of the tide, but they're losing out on 2 members so low. Chad's barely alive. So Ligo is dead to Vital, and Vital continuing to chase down despite the Elder buff. It is Immortals coming out on top.
Even with the Elder Dragon, they lose the fight. Pretty teleports in on the backside, and Immortals, they don't care about the Elder. They're going to be winning the fight anyway.
They're going to get actually, they are going to get a clean ace there. They completely wiped the Elder from the script. It is no longer a part of this story. Instead, it is all about Immortals coming out on top in game number 1 against Evil Geniuses. They've got the cash-ins, they've got the money, and they claim victory.
I feel like we're seeing a story shift in the way that we have to start looking at Evil Geniuses, right? Surdy going up against one of these rookies in Vital, given the counterpick, Vital took him to task, right? He had so much more of an impact on this game than Surdy did. The mid lane, they had the Victor counterpick into the Twisted Fate, and Soligo got pushed around by Pretty. The only place of strength that we really saw coming through was the bottom lane. Kara and Smoothie were up about 60 CS towards the end of that game, but even with a couple of kills coming through, they weren't able to find their way back in, and Immortals just kind of cleaned house, right? Everything was going their way. The only thing that was an issue was Arrow wasn't necessarily super strong until he finally cashed in for 1,500 gold off of a single kill, and then suddenly Immortals were winning in all 3 lanes.
That's honestly, to me, what shifted this entire game. I think that there was a chance, if they had killed Arrow before he got all the adoration stacks, that they actually could have come back in this game. It was close. Yeah. They got the Elder. In fact, that was definitely a situation that they could have fought back a little bit easier if they didn't have to worry about the 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4-man carry on the side of Immortals. The only one not really set up to be a carry being Joey, but that's because he's a support.
He's Renata. You know, he had a big impact on the last fight, but yeah, that's the thing we're looking at. It feels like Evil Geniuses, a lot of their confidence is gone, but Immortals, this might be their way to start fighting that confidence to come back and start pushing towards the top of the table like we know they can.
Exactly. So we're going to toss it to a break. When we come back, we'll bring back our host for our halftime show. Make sure you stay tuned.